rabbis, historians in of itself. So tonight I want to speak about Ariel of November in 1930. Yehula marks his passing. I think it was about 93 years ago. He passed away approximately, and he was born actually in Jerusalem, which is part of the Ottoman Empire, and I think ציון, which is area in France. I think it's a western suburb of Paris, if I'm not mistaken. He was a famous Jewish writer. He was a poet also. He was a historian, a philosopher, and he was a famous rabbi. I'm not sure if he had like a rabbinic credentials in various different Sephardic community countries in diaspora, and very, very well known at his point of time. Let's explore ציון Levi. He was born in Jerusalem in 1880. This, obviously, we can call this Tafresh Mem in Hebrew. Ben Mishpacha Sfardit Moroccait, from a Moroccan Sephardic family. Hamei Chased et Motzar, L'Rab Avram ibn Chastai Barcelona. He actually, I believe, some opinions would hold that he was a philosopher and a translator. He was, had various, let's say, grandiose roles himself. Let's just say, concentrated on, and his ancestor had connections with many of the great personalities of his point in time, and very much has been said within regards to him. So that's maybe for another class. Maybe we'll speak about him. But he descended from this famous rabbi, and Levi, rabbi of the Jewish Kehillah of Fez, respectively, in Morocco. And now, I think we also mentioned him on various occasions before, and I very much recommend everyone to learn personalities that were from Fez, from Morocco, at that stages in time. I think it would be a very, very great opportunity at a later stage. Okay, so let's continue speaking about Ariel over here. He would actually make Aliyah, I think, the family to Eretz Israel, to the land of Israel, during the 18th century, and והיה פעיל בחוגי ישיבת מקובלים בית אל. So very, very interesting. Very much connected, the family, and they were in. It's let's say one of the most famous yeshivot, without doubt, in recent hundreds of years in Jerusalem. All the time was actually founded in the year 1737 by famous Rabbi Gedalia Hayon, who was originally from Constantinople, and there was many great rabbis that would actually head the yeshiva itself, including the Rosh HaKadosh, Rabbi Shalom Mizrahi Shirabi, who was a famous Yemenite rabbi, and I think he would be over there for many, many years. It was actually a Kabbalistic yeshiva, which was open also, not just as Sephardim, for Ashkenazim. Also, he would go on to learn there as time progressing in the Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David, Rabbi Avram Gershon of Tov, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Shkrolov, and famous Rabbi Yom Tov Al-Ghazi. So it was really, has had this yeshiva itself a galaxy of great rabbis, including Rabbi Yitzchak Kadori, probably you could say, in a more recent time periods, and Rabbi Meir Yehuda Gez, who we actually recorded a video about before, Rabbi Obadiah Hodaya, Rabbi Yedidia Raphael Chai Abu Lafi, another great rabbi who happens to have been, I believe, the head rabbi of the famous yeshivat Bet El. So this action over there, I believe his father did. That's something that important. Now, in his youth, I believe Ariel Ben Zion would actually be educated. I say Benorav Kibel Ben Zion Chinuch Yehudi Mesorati V'Lamad B'Pi Aviv Yeshivat Bet El. So seemingly famous Yeshivat Bet El, and also Chesed El, I think, and Tiferet Yerushalayim. I believe he would learn inside. Also, let's speak about Yeshivat Tiferet Yerushalayim. I think we also spoke about that. Was a Sephardic yeshiva. I think had famous graduates, Rabbi Nissim Yehuda Danon, who became Rishon LeZion, Rabbi Chaim Abraham Gagin, also another rabbi who was also connected very much to Yeshiva Betel, Rabbi Medinat Yisrael, of various different points of time, and they would have many, many great rabbis that was connected very much to it. And I think it was very much connected to the Sephardi Community Committee in Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, and they would have many, many students, and so on and so forth. So I very much recommend everyone to look over that video we recorded about the famous Yeshiva Tiferet Yerushalayim of the Ottoman days, that is for sure over there. So he would be learning in these three places, Chesed El, Bet El, and Tiferet Yisrael. Kavabodo ben 15 katav sipur b'hamshachim b'shem hanulda b'kedusha. That he was born ha-Londoni. So I think this actually of itself. So that's very, very interesting. So now let's just say more. In his youth, obviously he received that in, let's say, this important education in himself. Then it says, but Algiers, he would actually go to Algiers at one point in time. And Algeria had a prominent Jewish community, especially in the late 1800s. History, he would go into learning history. Sifrut, this would be another and בחמש universities in Switzerland, הוא השלים בהצטיינות תואר דוקטור בפילוסופיה ושפות שמיות באוניברסיטת Bern. So I think very much educated and connected to the Bern University, and עם דיצטריה שעסקה בשומרונים ומסורותיהם. לאחר חזר לארץ ישראל. So we spent a window of time in these countries, really gained, let's just say, a breadth in with languages, history, so on, so much, for to take the tools to take him 13 for a couple of years at that point in time. He was writing regular articles, let's just say, and Hebrew teachings. He was a Zionist at that, very much so. I would go to Israel, and I think very much he was also, I'll say what it says here, B'shnat 1912 to 1913, those years, Shaha Eretz Yisrael, so be in Eretz Yisrael, V'asak Bora'ah, he'll be working in journalism, writing Hebrew writings. Come with the year 1913, Kihen Karav Shel Kihilot Bitula. So very, very interesting. He was appointed the rabbi of monastery at that point in time, I think in Serbia, if I'm not mistaken. I think part of Macedonia. The video, I think, connected to Macedonia at one stage in time, but I think I didn't actually mention him inside the video itself, which was something I just had to point out. Also, I think it's interesting. He would be, I'll say what it says over here once again in Hebrew. Between the years 1913 to 1920, Sheha b'Germania, he will be stationed, I think, in Germany. Sham hotzi le'or b'targum le'Germanit et sifra rishon chupat hamavet, if I'm not mistaken, or dai chos ציונית, אגדות ספרדיות, מקומות כגון הספקים בארץ ישראל. It's very much connected in various different Zionistic activities at that point in time, really in that specific realm. That's something that we should point out. Let's continue over here. כשליח ציוני, I think at the start of the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken, עבד בשירות הסתדרות הציונית. ומאותו שנה עד סוף חייו שימש כשליח המגייס תרומות עבור קרן היסוד, very much connected to קרן היסוד, לשם גיוס התרומה נעשה בין קהילות יהודית ברחבי העולם. He would be raising monies all over various different places, ובעיקר בין קהילות ספרדיות ומזרחיות בסוריה, עיראק, הודו, סין, in Syria, Iraq, India, China, Singapore, Egypt, northern African countries, Yemen, Macedonia, Spain, Portugal, and also I think South America and various other places. Very, very well traveled at that point in time, and was really trying to do a lot of various different Zionistic undertakings. That's something that we have to point out. It was like a Zionistic envoy. He would work to mobilize Jews to donate, work in Zionism, build Jewish settlements in the land of Israel, and really try and bring a breadth about. I think during his visits to the Middle East, he would also famously once nobles, including King Faisal I, I believe, at one stage in time, various different Arab statesmen. In Yemen, Aden, he was the first Zionistic emissary, let's say, to the Jewish community of that point in time, and would, let's say, garner various different successful contacts with leaders, people from wealthy members of the community, and connect them to the institution of the Hebrew settlement in the land of Israel. His speeches would bring about many people with an awe within regards to these various different communities, let's just say, and brought in Argentina. So we didn't actually mention him in Argentina videos. In the communities, I think especially in French Morocco, he influenced members of various different Sephardic Moroccan communities, and so on and so forth. I think some of the communities will establish a Zionistic organization, B'nai Kedem, which is headed by the wealthier members of the community, And in Argentina, for example, would visit Portugal, and the head of the community, I think, and someone named Moshe Ben Shabbat Amzalek, if I'm not mistaken, who was a key rabbi, I believe, at that point in time. Maybe possibly in Portugal, a rabbi who was spoken about various occasions before, I think would meet him and was impressed with him also. That's something. Moises Ben Sabat Amzalek. He was a central figure in Portuguese among various different people all across the world, Jewish people across the world, and was also an author, if I'm not mistaken. So he will actually comment on him. So that's we're speaking about Ariel Ben Zion, Rabbi Ariel Ben Zion, who was a famous Zionistic activist, let's just say, in his point in time. But I think Shanghai in China, Hitkabel Aaron Hardun, that could be another name to describe him. I think he had a connection also with him. He was a wealthy businessman in Shanghai, let's just say, in himself. His family, I think, were connected to David Sassoon. Remember, we spoke about the famous Dadoon philanthropist dynasty. And working under David Sassoon and Company. He was a rent collector, watchman over there, and then later on he would set up his own cotton trading company, and he would join E.D. Sassoon and Co. later on, and maybe someone that we will speak. But very interesting, Ariel Ben Zion will have a connection to him. שמיעת בדרך כלל לתרום למטרות יהודיות, וביחד איתו יזם עמותה שגייסה כספים לקידום התרבות היהודית בארץ ישראל. בעיראק יש סכום עתק של 140,000 ליש"ט. Who raised a lot of money, especially in Iraq. I think in 1923, for example, he was close to a philanthropist named Yecheskel Shem Tov in Basra also. בבגדד תתקבל תקילה בהסתייגות מצד עשירי וראש הקהילות, so you would get money from לאחר שהצליח לקבל מכתב מהמלך Faisal, get actually a correspondence with Faisal, the king over there, that help him. להצליח לייסד ועד מקומי למען קרן היסוד שבראשו עמדו מנהיגי הקהילה וחכם ראשי שלה. השפעה דומה הייתה לו גם בארצות הנוספות בהן בעיקר. Now I think very interesting, Dr. Ben Zion, so he was also a doctor, ניצל את ניסיונותיו גם עבור רכישה ואיסוף של כתבי יד נדירים מרחבי הקהילות היהודית הספרדיות. He would go to various different Sephardic communities all over the world and really be very successful. הקים אוסף גדול ממדים של ספרים בכתב יד, many different manuscripts he'll have about to be able to garner, בעיקר מצפון אפריקה, אוסף שמו כיום באוניברסיטת אלברטה, הקנדית, if I'm not mistaken, maybe connected to Canada he was. הרי הכינו האיש שכולל במערב, רשמי מסורתיו והתכתבויותיו עם אישים שונים מרחבי העולם היהודי, מצוי גם הוא בקנדה. So I think various different places in the world he would have connection to, manuscripts to speak to at that point in time. הוא לקח חלק בקונגרס הציוני, the 11th one, I think, which was actually held in Vienna, if I'm not mistaken, to ארץ ישראל. וכן נבחר למזכיר כבוד בוועד הפועל הציוני. He was like a secretary of the committee, the Zionistic committee. השתתף גם בקונגרס הציוני, the 15th Congress, כנציג מטעם יהודי ארגנטינה. He was very much connected, representing the Argentinian Jewish community. כמו כן היה מעורב בהקמת ההתאחדות העולמית של היהודים הספרדים. So very much he was in a lot of Sephardi activities and also within regards to Zionistic activities. בהפסקות שבין נסיעתו בעולם שב לארץ ישראל. He returned to ארץ ישראל, and over there he would found, I think, the Yeshivat Machzikei Torah in Jerusalem. Very interesting, great to hear more about it. כמו כן היה אחראי לרכישת אדמת בנתניה. I think the neighborhood over there, the Ben Zion neighborhood, is actually named after him. Very interesting enough. So he was a proofreader, I believe, also. And the writer also, Dr. Ben Zion היה פוליגלוט ושלט בין היטב בשפות אנגלית. He knew English, Spanish, French, German, Hebrew, עברית, Arabic. הוא פרסם מספר רב של מאמרים מהקראים בעיתוני וכתבי את בשפות אלו בהם העיתונים העבריים, האור, החרות בעולם, various different Hebrew Zionistic newspapers will be writing, והמחקריו עסקו במיוחד בנושאי יהודה ספרד. He'll be investigating with regards to the Jewish community of Spain, the יהודית המזרח, the Mizrahi countries, בלשונות שמית, קבלה פילוסופיה. בין מאמריו בעיתוני, מאמר על המסתקיע בכתב של מוריס מצ'לינק. I think this is 1914. He was connected, and let's just say with this person or someone named Maurice Metternich, a very famous person of his time. He lived himself between 1862 to 1949. Actually, he was a famous Belgian playwright, poet, essayist. He would actually win a Nobel Prize in literature, interesting enough, and a famous man of his time. So he's very, very, very well connected. Over here, this great personality. He really was a great personality. Let's just say over there, respectively. More can be said within regards to him. Shiktab al Ben Zion. Okay, I think he was close to another person called Richard Bar Hoffman, if I'm not mistaken, or Bir Hoffman, respectively, another famous person of his time. הספר המחקרי החשוב ביותר שפרסם הוא הזוהר בספרד המוסלמית והנוצרית שיצא לאור בלונדון in 1932. His book came out in England, in London, in 1932, עם הקדמה מאת אחד המזרחנים הידועים ביותר של התקופה, סר אדוארד דניסיון רוס. So he would get this famous language linguist, Mizrahian, Orientalist, would give him a recommendation. הספר תרגום בהמשך לספרדית, עם הקדמה מאת פילוסוף הספרדי, יהודה און-אמונו, another famous person of his time. He was a person that would give him haskama at that point in time. He lived from 1864 to 1936, and he was a playwright. He was also a proofreader and had various different jobs, undertakings in himself. I think we spoke about Miguel on various occasions before. Let's just say he was author of many, many famous books at that point in time. He would pass away actually in Spain. He was actually born in Spain also, which is interesting about him. Hopefully we'll record a video about the history maybe of Spain during at a later stage. So he was very, very, very busy the whole time, just with doing non-stop, let's just say, works in of itself. So I think, he was close to these people. He had wrote articles, research books. He published articles for the press on cultural issues. He was very into current affairs of the land of Israel and the conflict between the Jews and Arabs in a very interesting thing. He'd speak about, I think he was close to Itamar Ben Avi, another famous journalist, Zionistic journalist, if I'm not mistaken, who was connected actually to Eliezer Ben Yehuda and was close contact with many people that tried to revive the Hebrew language. And so he was close, I think, to Eliezer Ben Yehuda of his time, and saw him as an important person at the stage in time with regards to reintroducing Judaism language back to the heart in of itself. So he was Zionist at this point in time, and he passed away, I believe, in 1932 in Paris. He was quite young. He was about 52 years of age. I think he would be buried in Mount of Olives, in David Yeh, who was a famous, he was in the language committee, the chairman of the national committee, and one of the founders of various different neighborhoods. Also Yehuda Borla, another famous Israel Prize winner of literature, Nachum Sokolov, which he was also a Jewish writer, translator, a journalist, and fifth president of the World Zionist Foundation, and also most great thinkers, in recent times, was a Rishon LeZion between 1948 to 1953 over here. And very, very interesting enough. So let's just speak a bit more within regards to him. He, I think, got married while he was young to Rachel, Rabbanit Rachel, assuming he had the smicha. But Rachamim Mizrahi, she happened to be the daughter of Rachamim Mizrahi. I think he's rabbi. They would have two daughters, Miriam and Chana, away. And I think he would get married later on. I think maybe in the year 1925, many years later, to Ida, if I'm not mistaken. And so that was interesting. So and would really travel and carry on all his missions all over the world. Itni Polit Sionit Candid legislation go to all the various different places where there was a large Jewish community at that stage in time. Among his books, including Jerusalem, then the Kilula, if I'm not mistaken, 1927 also. So he was very, very into writing. He was a journalist of his time. He lived about 52 years of age. Let's explore a bit more about him. We were speaking about him within regards to the Wikipedia website. Let's see if there's any other facts we can put on within regards to him. He obviously studied philosophy. He received his of Serbia, and very much he would do historical work on Zohar, corresponding with but I think he wrote many articles and many let's just say publications in of itself, so you can't really see everything, to be honest with you. Yeah, so just going back to here, sorry, there was a problem with the connection. In Netanya, he would founding neighborhoods named after him. Ben Zion Me'achai Uziel, establishing the Machzikei Torah Yeshiva in Jerusalem, and was, as we stated before, very fluent in many different languages. So he passed away on the 10th of Cheshvan in 1932. As we stated on the onset, he was buried in Jerusalem. So he was famous person of his time, Zionistic, one of the famous Zionistic figures, you could arguably say also, and we recorded about many of the people that he was close to at that point in time, which I very, very much recommend. We learned about a rabbinic, very famous historian, a writer, poet, had many, many different roles in the realm of important Torah activity in of occasions before. So friends, if anyone is interested in watching any of these videos that we're recording, please share these videos also to other people also, and tell people to join our community and learn more, and so on and so forth. So it's very, very interesting, and very everyone to learn more within regards to it. And yeah, please join our community. Also, if anyone's new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. These are great rabbis yesteryear, and Ariel Ben Zion, one of the famous people of Jewish history, let's just say more recent Jewish history and Zionistic history, without a doubt, which is very, very important also to point out. So wishing you well, friends. Thank you for watching, and we're actually in the middle of the week at the moment as we speak. We happen to be, I believe it's going to be Parshat Lech Lecha de Shabbat. Now, one thing we do on this channel is we record videos about the Parshat Shvuah and so on and so forth. So we have huge amounts of let's say Torah coming up and so on and so forth. So it's something to look very, very much forward to and to get imbued into. Also, this is very, very interesting. So wishing all a great day. Thanks for tuning in and watching and spending the time. And yeah, fantastic. Thanks.